This is a Pele Media podcast.
Welcome back to Goonies Minute, everybody. Goonies Minute is the fan podcast where we carefully explore the movie Goonies minute by minute. I'm Brady.
And this is Chris.
And we are here to go over minute number 74 today. You want to get into the minute?
Let's get into the minute.
All right. In the previous minute, Andy called out for Brand. Brand told Mikey to go check it out. At minute 74, Mikey walks through a dark cave trying to find Andy. Thinking that it is Brand, Andy calls him in her direction. Mikey takes a look around, and Andy suddenly grabs Mikey by the jacket and pulls him in for a kiss. Stephanie walks towards them and can see with her lantern that Andy has mistaken Mikey for Brand. Steph laughs at her mistake. Mikey can barely stand as he stumbles back into the cave. Steph points him in the right direction and says, "Wrong way, lover boy." As Mikey exits, Stephanie asks Andy how it was. Andy says that it was strange and asks if Brand wears braces. And thus ends minute 74 of the Goonies. So, yesterday we left off with Andy calling out for Brand, who was a little indisposed at the moment, and her goal was to basically get him over into the shadows, and she was going to plant one on him. But Mikey, Brand said, "Mikey, why don't you go see what she's ragging about?" And so Mikey went out there and was looking, and Andy was about to make her move, and that's where the minute left off. So, today, Mikey goes over there, and Andy just pulls him in.
She attacks him.
She attacks him, basically, and gives him a kiss.
But one of the things that was interesting is you see his feet dangling.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this,
she's
let me tell you what.
Pretty
hold
strong.
on a second.
Okay.
Let me tell you the only time that I've seen feet dangling like this, and I'm not being funny here, I'm being serious. Okay. Whenever they show somebody hanging, like hanging, and that's the convulsions their feet are doing when they're hanging. Like a little, hanging, like hanging from a rope.
Listeners,
that's what their feet
I'm sorry
does.
if Chris has screwed up this moment forever
but
for you.
It's
yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, it's a intense moment.
How long in your life that you've been watching this movie has that thought come into your mind when you're seeing this?
Maybe not a descriptive like that, but I knew something intense was going on to cause his feet to do like that.
Well, I mean, like she says later, was he standing in a hole or something like that? Because she knows she's smaller.
Does it look like there was a hole there? No, there's no hole there.
So do you think she's really strong enough that she can lift him up by his collar?
You saw what I saw.
Yeah.
I saw feet. I didn't see anybody standing in a hole. Maybe to start they were standing in a hole. But I saw feet dangling there and not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Well, but hold on.
Okay.
So they're making out, and Steph, who comes over there with a lantern, and she kind of makes fun of it and starts laughing. That was a pretty bright light. First of all, how in the world would Andy not know that? That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
There's the braces thing. There's the fact that she says he was a little shorter.
I mean, and then there's a light that, look, I know the eyes are closed when you kiss him, but they open a little bit, especially if it's one of the first times, just to see what's going on there.
Well,
I mean, come on.
I mean, a lady doesn't do that. A gentleman doesn't do that. Chris McMahon does that.
I want to know what's going on.
Yeah. Well,
most of the time.
It's funny because, Steph, who was sort of like in on this and was telling Andy, like, look, this is probably not the right time. None of us are going to make it out of this alive, probably. But here's what I think. The Mikey and Andy thing, it's set up, and it doesn't really ever go anywhere. It's not really meant for anything. Brand and Andy never really have their conclusion, their resolution. And this would have been a perfect opportunity for, one, Mikey to kind of stay solo, to be his own thing on his own course, completely just, his own man. He doesn't need anyone else in the story. This would have been a good opportunity for the Brand and Mikey thing, the Brand and Andy thing to kind of move forward a little bit, and thus Brand move forward a little bit. I think his character needs a little motivation in the story. This might have been a good place to, involve some of that. And the two of them need some motivation romantically. And the movie doesn't really give us that. So I don't know. I think it's a missed opportunity, and it just makes for something cute and funny, but never goes anywhere. And like I'm saying, Bran needs some motivation. He and Andy's relationship needs a little motivation, and this was just a good opportunity for it, and a good opportunity to further emphasize that Mikey is on his own course. He is noble and doesn't need or shouldn't want anything else, so except for the treasure.
You think it's kind of funny that
What?
when Mikey walks out after having been kissed, and I'm not going to say he kissed Andy, no, having been kissed by Andy,
Right?
he looked like he'd been hit by a Mack truck. Mikey doesn't have a clue what hit him after he walks back from being kissed by Andy, and Steph actually has to put him in the right direction. I guess it was like, the young kid that's just absolutely mesmerized. She must have really laid one on him.
Yeah, and he's this little kid who's had a crush on her and everything, and I mean it's Andy. Golly, she's a babe. Yeah.
But that's all I have for this minute.
That's all I have for this awkward minute.
Hope everybody has a great weekend.
Yeah, that's all I've got too. And until then, this is Brady.
And this is Chris.
And we're here to remind you that Goonies
Never say die.
Goonies Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the show, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can find us at GooniesMinute.com, Facebook.com/GooniesMinute, Twitter.com/GooniesMinute, and at Instagram @GooniesMinute. You can contact us at GooniesMinute@gmail.com. You've been listening to a Pele Media podcast. For premium content and exclusive podcasts, visit us at Patreon.com/PeleMedia. Check us out on Facebook at Facebook.com/PeleMedia and follow us on Twitter at Twitter.com/PeleMedia.